Welcome back, Stassi23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have for you back again my Amazon Knife of the Month picks. I'm doing it a little different this time. I'm just going to make one video, and you're going to want to watch these, I promise you. Sorry I did not get to finish it, that other one. It just didn't go well. Those knives were just, I wouldn't buy either one of them. So today I have two from the same brand I've never heard of before, and this is Trivisa. I got one of their budget end knives, and then I enjoyed it, so I picked up one of the more premium ones. You get these nice crush-proof boxes, nice sleeve on it right here. This one has a magnet closure on the more budget one. This is model 03 on the budget one. And on the more premium one, it's 03B. And what's inside these boxes, you get a QC card, which is always something nice. You can pause and read if you want. A little velvety bag, a microfiber cloth, and some maintenance instructions, sharpening instructions, their mission statement, limited lifetime warranty, and don't abuse your knife. First up, we're going to get started with the budget version. So this is the budget one. This is the 03 Lynx, and this comes in at $48 in the G10. You can also get it with a black wash blade and black micarta for $53, and also comes in a Damascus blade. Some quick specs. This is a full-size knife. You have a total length of 8.46 inches. You have a blade length of 3.66 inches, a handle length of 4.72 inches, handle thickness of 0.47 inches, so it's kind of thin, on the thinner side. You have a very thin blade stock thickness of 0.09, and the weight on this bad boy is 3.85. All right, let's do some cutting with it. I chose the Lynx because of the blade steel, to be honest. I was perusing Amazon and I was looking for a 14C28N option because it's one of my favorite budget steels. It's so easy to sharpen and it takes a ridiculous edge. Speaking of edge, this knife came very, very sharp out of box, and as you can see, it's cutting very, very well. The edge geometry is playing a good part in that. It's nice and thin behind the edge at 17 thousandths, and the knife remained comfortable all the way to the end of the cutting. It does have contour G10 scales, but you know, I wasn't putting a lot of pressure when I was cutting cardboard, of course. So that's why I do this wood cutting right here, to test the edge bite and just to see how it's going to feel once I start putting a lot of pressure. The medium pressure, I didn't feel much. However, whenever I got to the more intense cutting, pushing hard into that wood, the way my hand lands on the handle, I noticed I got somewhat of a hot spot in the very back bottom part of the handle. There's a hump on the scales, and that's where my finger lands out. You can see me kind of switching grips here and there, and that's just because it was a little uncomfortable. It wasn't so bad to where I felt like I had to put gloves on, but something I wanted to note here. And also, that's going to highly depend on how big your hands are. I have a medium-sized hand, so my hand falls right on that hump. If I move back some, the handle gets really skinny in the back right there, so it feels kind of hard to control the blade. I did feel locked in the entire time. It has a decent little guard with the flipper tab, and you're dealing with a Wharncliffe blade. So right here, I'm trying to cut 1/2 inch twisted sisal rope. I ended up putting it on this little block of basswood to raise the edge up, because Wharncliffe blade, you're gonna hit your knuckles if you're trying to cut flat onto a cutting board, or you can raise your tip. I mean, you can point your tip in the downward position and do it like this. I was blown away with how well it was cutting this sisal rope. I made 40 cuts, and look at that, it's just basically push cutting that. It remained sharp, and I could have done a lot more, but I have more cutting to do later, so I knew I ought to probably stop like I do with most of them, just to see, because you know, I have like a kind of a feeling of where the edge should be. I tested the edge after that, and it was still sharp. But one thing I love with these nice pointy Wharncliffe blades are these detail style cutting, kind of like this right here where you're dragging that tip through something. This tip is very, very pokey. You're not going to want to put any side to side lateral force on it because you probably would snap that tip. I felt at this point the edge was holding up really, really well. That's one thing I love about 14C. It takes a good edge and holds a pretty darn good edge for not being a super steel. Usually this hard rubber gives me a lot of problems, but I felt that it was going through this nicely and definitely better than a lot of other knives I've tested recently. The edge held up all the way to the end of the cutting. However, when I got to the last, I think, cut or two with the denim, the edge fell off, and that's perfectly acceptable to me because most of the 14C I test, that's about how far they go. At $48, this is definitely a knife I can recommend. Still held up well. It was, for the most part, comfortable in hand. It has excellent action. It's riding on bearings and a ceramic detent ball. It's got a drop shut, somewhat of a drop shut action, just a couple of shakes. And the few minor, hot spots I was getting wasn't anything major that I felt that, it was a complete turn off. There's a lot of knives in 14C that are coming in at the $70 price point right now. So $48, I think you can't go wrong here. Now for the more premium version, this is the O3B. This one comes in at $109. You can get it in this blackwash blade, or you can get it with a non-coated blade and I think blue G10 scales. Let's get the specs out of the way for this one. It's pretty close to the same as its cheaper counterpart. You have a total length of 8.46 inches, so the same length. You have a blade length the same at 3.66. Your handle's a little different. It's a little longer. You have a 4.84 inch handle, and you also have a thicker handle scales at 0.59. The weight on this one is a little heavier because also you have a thicker stock at 0.11 along with the thicker handles, so it's coming in at 4.74 ounces. All right, let's do some cutting with this one and see how well it does. After testing the budget Lynx, I got excited when I saw that there was a more premium version of it, model 03B. It comes in at $109, and I was okay with spending that kind of money because if it was anything like the budget in one, I think it would be a good deal. So this one uses S35VN steel, and like the budget one, it has a full flat grind, and as you can see right here, it is slicing very, very well. It also has that same Wharncliffe blade shape and the very, very pokey tip at the front, which is excellent for making detailed style cutting. Another difference between these two are it has a double deployment. You have a flipper tab and a thumb stab. We will talk about that toward the end. So one of the main things that I loved about this premium version is when I got to this wood, it was absolutely comfortable as can be. The handle's a little thicker. The G10's contoured. It kind of rounds out in the back of the top of the scales, and there was no hot spots whatsoever. I could have probably did this type of cutting for days. It was biting very deep, as you can see, and I had control of the knife the entire time. When I got to the sisal rope cutting, I was wanting to see how well it would do. I also pulled it up on top of this basswood block just to make it a little bit easier for me to cut, being that I was cutting on a flat cutting board. It was doing push cuts for the most part, and I was able to make 70 cuts, and I definitely could have went further. However, like I said on the last one, I knew I had more cutting to do down the road, so I stopped it at 70 cuts, and when I got to that point, the edge still had a really good working edge toward the front. I'll show the sharpness in the video, It wasn't excellent, but I thought it was definitely, better than a lot of S35 that I've actually tested in the past. So that's always something that I like to see. This edge remained sharp throughout the remainder of the cutting. I never felt like the edge kind of fell off or not anything, but of course the edge at the very front where I was doing all the cutting pretty much wasn't super sharp. It had a mild working edge on it, no severe edge damage, just maybe a couple of small rolls in the edge or just dulling in particular. But I did take it to my basswood strop that has 1 micron gunny juice on it. I made 10 passes on both sides and brought that edge back to hair shaving sharp. So the heat treat seems to be very good, or decent, above average on the knife. And at the $109, I think that's excellent. The deployment and action are even better on this version. It's on bearings. It has that flipper tab that I was talking about with some jimping on it that grips the finger perfectly. It's nice and comfortable, comes out fast. It's a drop shut action on this one. You also have that thumb stud. It's a pyramid thumb stud. It's okay. It works just fine, and you can deploy it very reliably with it. It's only on one side, so you can't really spidey flick the knife unless you swap that out. You can get it in coated, 9-coated. They didn't have the 9-coated when I got it. And I will tell you what, this knife reminds me of the old school Wee knives, the ones that they used to do. Their whenever they were teeter-tottering from their premium to their kind of budget end, if y'all know what I mean. If y'all remember those designs. All the hardware on the knife is T8. The pivot has a pivot ring around it. The pocket clip is a milled titanium pocket clip with anodization on it, bronze on the black one. It's blind screwed, things that you see in higher quality knives. Overall, I think this is a total win. Lockup's very solid, and what is there not to love for $109? This one's one that I could highly recommend. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed all that. Let me know what y'all think about this new format, because I did not want to make this segment go away. A lot of y'all seem to enjoy it, and this seemed to be a more sufficient way to do it, so I can make sure I can get it to you. So if you have any questions about either one of the knives or anything else, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.